My name is Byron Rushing, and I am a state representative in Massachusetts, in the Massachusetts legislature. I am an Episcopalian, and I'm a baptized Christian. And my primary ministry is politics. Over the past 30 years, I have had the ability and the privilege to represent several downtown neighborhoods in the city of Boston, and to try as best as possible to do my ministry in the area of the decisions that all of us have to make about our daily lives and work in community, which would be my quick and dirty definition of politics. I am also, of course, an active Episcopalian, a longtime deputy of General Convention, and the vice president of the House of Deputies. When I think of General Convention, I cannot think of General Convention without reflecting on the history of its beginning. Because decisions were made by a group of men at that time in forming what would be the successor to the Church of England in the colonies in this new, brand new, independent country that had gained its independence by becoming independent of the country of England, and which meant becoming independent of the King of England. The King who the Church of England in the colonies prayed for every time they got together, mostly for morning prayer and even at communion. And the decision that these men make is that the church needed to be both consistent with what they thought were the most important ideas that the Church of England had, and also be consistent with a polity that reflected the revolution that they had just finished participating in. And they come up with this brilliant idea, and that is that the church should not be run by an individual, it should be run by a democratically elected convention. And the chief temporal authority for the Episcopal Church is General Convention. The head of the church is Jesus Christ. I don't want to get anybody to get upset at me. But the temporal authority of our denomination is General Convention. Now, General Convention then is elected by all the dioceses. They get to elect deputies that come to that General Convention, and they also get to elect another group of people that get to come to that convention, and that's bishops. And the electing of bishops, of course, was the other radical idea that the early founders of this church came up with. It had been something that none of them had ever experienced in their lives, or their parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents. They had to go way back into the origins of the Christian church to find examples of bishops being elected. But they thought it happened then, they had a precedent, they would use it in this wonderful time that they were participating in of building this new country. And they wanted a church that they hoped people in this wonderful new country would see as a place that would welcome them. And they did an interesting thing. They decided that when they named their diocese, they wouldn't do what had been the common naming of dioceses from the Middle Ages and common in England, to name them after cities. They would name them after this new political form, states. And that's why all the oldest dioceses in the Episcopal Church to this day, even though they've gotten divided up, The oldest dioceses are all named after states. So, this convention then takes on what it sees as the most important things to do. And the most important things to do included things like coming up with a liturgy that made sense for them in these times. And so they revised the prayer book. The prayer book is authorized by this body, the General Convention. The first one was authorized by the General Convention, and all the subsequent ones authorized by the General Convention. When there was question about expansion of the church, of traditional mission work, of sending people out to convert people, the decisions about that were made by General Convention. So what was important for the formation of the church were decisions when we were talking about all the dioceses together that were made by a democratically elected representative General Convention.